All right, get ready to open conference play. We'll take the trip out to Springfield, Missouri on Friday. Coach Allen has a good football team. They're 3-1 right now. Glaring thing that sticks out to me is they've outscored their opponents by 55 points in the second half. They've played some good teams thus far, and I expect to see another good football team across from us on Saturday. They had 5 preseason all-conference picks going into the season. I voted them pretty high as far as the preseason poll. I knew they had a good football team coming back. I think they've won 7 of their last 9. They got on a run last year in the conference late in the year and beat some good teams. So they got a good football team, average about 32 points a game, and do a good job of mixing run and pass. Pretty balanced there. Time of possession team, hold the ball for almost 33 minutes a game, and get a bunch of tackles for loss, and relatively low yardage gains on offense as far as against their defense. And active group, got a great kicker, kicked a 53-yarder to win the game against Central Arkansas 2 weeks ago. So we're excited to start conference play, and Coach Allen's done a good job, and he's got a good team.
While you're talking about Missouri State, before we get into other stuff, talk about the challenges of kind of trying to contain both an outstanding quarterback and outstanding receiver with a veteran offensive line.
Well, that's always a challenge, and that's why they're winning football games. They've got a very good offensive line. 3 of those guys were on the preseason all-conference team. Quarterback is a guy that can run and throw, which obviously creates problems to begin with, and does a good job of taking care of the football, throwing it where it needs to be thrown. And when you're able to run the ball, obviously that creates passing opportunities, and he's got a receiver and some other guys that are very good, and they're explosive players.
Is this the best overall talented team you will face to date, including Illinois?
I would say yes.
Why?
I just think as a whole body of work, they're a good football team. You take away some plays in that Oklahoma State game and the way they played in the second half, you can see that they're a good football team. And you guys saw last Thursday, I think it was, Oklahoma State get after Texas Tech pretty good. So, when you compare things like that, Oklahoma State will probably win 7-8 games this year in the Big 12 Conference.
It was 2011, but do you remember that? What do you remember from that game?
I don't really want to recall it, so I don't like to live in the past, but it was a bad day for us, obviously. We had some opportunities to win the game. We had some opportunities to seize it, and we came up short. And, that's part of this game. Players got to make plays, and, you can call a play or a coverage or whatever you want, but at the end of the day, you got to make a play, and our players realize that, and that's the past. We don't talk about the past too much, other than just respecting our tradition.
You haven't played this team for 2 years. Is it tough to get a gauge on them? I know you see them on disc or whatever you guys look at, but you've played other teams where you kind of get a feel in person. So is it difficult to look? I shouldn't say difficult. Is it different preparing for this team?
Well, we watch them obviously in crossover film a lot. There's a lot of carryover between their offense and our offense. So obviously when we study like opponents, they're a team that we always watch quite a bit, specifically their offense. But the thing is it's not hard just to sit down and watch film and see good football players. And they got a bunch of good football players. They've been recognized for that, and thus they're winning. And they do a good job.
Is the word of the week urgency? All 3 players that we talked to, you mentioned urgency.
Well, I think every conference game needs to be a sense of urgency. Every game matters. When you want to go where we want to go, every game is vital. Every play is crucial, and that's something that has taken some time for us to learn and understand, regardless of who we're playing. It still comes back to our preparation. And if you prepare the right way, you should have confidence going into the game and expect to play well. And we do.
With that being said, and with the way the conference is playing out, is this a must-win in your conference?
Oh, I think every conference game you've got to treat it like a must-win situation. I think there's enough teams that at the end of the year, there's going to be a group of teams that are going to have probably 3 to 4 losses, 2 to 3 to 4 losses. There's going to be a pretty good sized group, and who's going to get the nod? And that's why every game is just so vital.
Talk about how many teams are ranked, 8 of the 10 already in the top 25. We talked to some of the players about this being the first conference game. Do you preach to them about the importance of kind of setting the tone early and establishing yourself as, hey, we are one of these teams, not one of these ones?
I don't get caught too much up into that. I've never even mentioned what our ranking is to our football team. We don't address it. We don't talk about it. We're about the present and what we're doing. We have talked about, though, the sense of urgency in playing well and preparing to play well during the course of the week so we can have a confidence going into the game and play well. But, every game, you don't know. This game could be the determining factor at the end of the year, maybe of a tiebreaker, because they have tiebreaker scenarios when they do conference pecking orders. So what game is that going to be? It's not like you can look at the conference and say, well, these 2 or 3 teams aren't going to be in it. It's basically these 5 shooting for 2 spots, And this game, the winner of this game could be involved in a tiebreaker. You just don't know.
Or do you know how is replay in effect this week for conference games now?
No.
It is not?
Not this game.
Not this week?
Yeah.
Not this game? Okay, is that a conference rule?
Next year, I believe everybody will be on replay. This year is selected people.
Coach, you mentioned briefly about their defense in your first summer. You talked about their tackles for loss. I know they've got a great linebacker. They've got a really good takeaway, giveaway ratio. What makes their defense work? What are you expecting to see from them in terms of style?
Well, I think they're aggressive up front. I think that on the edges, they've got 2 outside linebackers that like to get up the field, and they do a great job of getting off blocks. I think the one had 6 tackles for a loss in the Oklahoma State game. He was just wearing their tight end out, and so that got my attention. And you got to have bodies on those guys, or you got to account for them within your scheme.
This game reminds you of last year's Southern Mill game, just so you open on the road. Your team could be a playoff contender.
Yeah, I guess you could think of it that way. I haven't really thought about it in that capacity. I just I'm really focused on making sure that we got a good plan on all 3 phases of the game, because every phase of the game is going to be important in everything we do. And special teams are a big part of the game. Obviously, they have a good kicker, and then the same thing with their punt returner. He averages 15 yards, 15.1 a return. So they've got a little bit of a different scheme there that they use. So there's some twists in the special teams game that are going to be a part of this game also.
Michael Weary be back?
No, he's not back yet. He's still got I guess you'd say, a pulled hamstring. And we're trying to get that thing squared away, because he's a guy that can help us on special teams, and obviously offense. He's a deep threat and runs good routes.
Then you mentioned Jimmy Kitchen will see time?
Jimmy will play, so he'll be out there, and he's cleared to go. So excited to see him play. I think he's got a chance to be a pretty good player.
How about the backs?
Everybody's good to go. They all practiced yesterday. Only one that didn't practice yesterday was Ryan Moore, but he'll do some stuff today. And then tomorrow will be Wednesday, and then we got Thursday and Friday, so he should be good to go.
What do you think is the biggest thing that the team got out of the bye week?
I think we got a chance to develop some depth. That was something we wanted to focus on, just making sure we got enough depth for a conference run. Secondly, I think we got a chance to freshen up a little bit as far as just getting our bodies back, and we know what lies ahead of us. And it's going to be a tough conference slate, week in and week out. Doesn't matter who you play, and think you have to be mentally prepared for that. And that's something that you don't just show up to the game and say this is a conference game today and expect to play well. I think there's got to be a mentality there, a toughness, a grittiness to your team.
With the long stretch here, do you kind of, I don't want to say hold back, do you kind of watch how you practice?
I've changed our practice schedule in a lot of different ways. It's just basically a long story short. I've went to more of some of the things that you're seeing being done at Baylor, Texas A&M, Oregon, Chip Kelly, Eagles. It's just a different structure of a practice schedule.
I know the players had a bye week, but I'm guessing coaches probably don't get too many days off when the conference opener is looming. Were you able to relax and kind of?
Saturday I got a chance to watch a little football. I came back in Sunday and obviously caught back up on some film, but I got a chance to watch some football, some good games, and got a chance to take it in as a fan.
Kenneth Durden on the depth chart, is he cleared to go?
No, he's not clear yet.
With all the talk of what happened at Michigan with the player, I mean, what's the protocol for if you see a player injured?
He's out of the game. I mean, we basically, JD, our trainer, he's right there on our sideline. He's obviously watching the game, but, I'm obviously tuned into what's going on in the game, basically about every play. And, I think anytime you're watching, obviously, key positions, specifically quarterback, guys carrying the football, or guys that are making tackles and hits, you can kind of make a judgment decision there about maybe if someone's potentially injured. And I'll usually say something over the headphones like, that was a big hit there. Does Jamil look like he's all right? Or, Trey Moore or Kurt Hess or whoever it may be. Last year you saw us pull Kurt Hess in the North Dakota State game. He came in and took the ball 80 yards down for a touchdown. We're up 7-0, and went out the second series, had a little bit of pressure, and then came to the sideline, and we visited with him and made the educated decision to pull him and put Dante in the game. So that's got to have checks and balances of how you manage it. I don't think anything's foolproof, and that's the nature of this game.
Can you trust the player, or are there players that you trust more? Like Jody took that terrible hit and then seemed fine, wanted to go back in, but obviously didn't return.
I think that's something that's why you have a medical expert on your side to make the educated decision. That's out of my hands. JD pulls guys from games regardless of what the player says.
Cantrell, this year, is he going to play this year?
Now I'm going to redshirt him, so that'll be a good addition for next year. He could probably play, but there's no need to play him.